Oh, I want to tell you 3 stories very quickly. The first story is about a man called Peter. Someone say Peter? Now you know the story. It's in the book of Luke chapter 5 verse 1 to 11. And I encourage you to go home and do further reason. Now Peter had an encounter with Jesus on a different level. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. Now he had fished all night and as an expert fisherman and caught nothing. Now he was at a point where he was washing his net, just waiting in his boat. Jesus comes along and starts to preach a message at the seashore. The crowd is pressing to hear Jesus. Jesus knows, I have to pull away from the crowd. So he asks, he gets into a boat, and it's Peter's boat. And he says, please pull out a little bit so I can talk to the crowd. And as he begins to do that, the crowd listen. Peter probably is just minding his own business, washing his net because he caught nothing. Fishermen at that point should be sharing the fish they caught because they walked all night, but they had nothing to show. Now, Jesus, after preaching, says, you know what? Let's go for a swim. We're going to catch fish. And Peter protested, said, I'm the expert. Look, when it comes to preaching sermons, you're the expert. But when it comes to catching fish, I'm the expert. And I'm telling you, we worked all night. And I am a son of a fisherman, grandson of a fisherman, great-grandson of a fisherman, because fishing is in our blood. I failed at this. And he says, but nevertheless, at your word, because you said so, I'm just going to go. And they did. And what happened? They enclosed such a great harvest of fish. Now, when Peter saw what happened, what did Peter say himself? He said, get you away from me. Peter was not an Igbo man. Sorry if you're from Nigeria, where I'm from, there's a group of our brothers. They are very enterprising. They can't see an opportunity to make money and pass over. No. So that's how I know he didn't belong to that tribe. Because if I was him and if I was an Igbo man, I would have said, Jesus, let me build you a tent, so that every time you preach with my boat, we can go out and catch more fish and my business will prosper. But he saw beyond what was happening. This was something I had yet never seen before. I worked all night. I'd done everything by the books and I failed. But at your word, I enclosed such a great harvest. It was so big that the boat and his neighbor's boat struggled to get the fish to the shore. Now Jesus says, and this is where I'm going with the story. Jesus says, come with me, and I will make you a fisher of men. Do you think it was the skill of the fisherman that Peter possessed that Jesus was referring to when he said, come with me? Just think about it. You, with the skill and the experience and everything, failed at it. Now I'm telling you, it's time to learn a new skill. Tell your neighbor, it's time to learn a new skill. It's time to do something different with your life. I'm about to redirect you. And that's what happened there. I'm taking you from a place where you once were to a place where I will determine for you to go. Hold that thought, because I'm going to come back to it in terms of what he told Peter. So Peter was skillful and diligent. He was committed. Yet, with all those things, he failed on his mission. But Christ redirected him. And I'm trusting God that we would have an encounter with Christ today on a personal level that will redirect. You know what? The fishermen friends were still sharing the fish. But Peter stepped away from that harvest and turned to Jesus and said, come on, I want you. And Jesus says, come with me. Can I tell you something? It feels like Jesus intentionally orchestrated that event just to show him what he was about to tell him. You know, that period of a heightened drama, and straight away, I've got your attention. Now, this is the thing. How else can you explain it? In Genesis, Moses thought he was a deliverer, tried to do it in his own strength and failed. He fled into the wilderness, and for 40 years, he became a shepherd. 40 years on, now he's about 80 years, and he's walking about doing his normal day routine, and he sees a burning bush that is not being burnt. Now tell me, the height of the drama, to put together a bush and it's on fire, but it's not burning. And he goes closer to see what's happening. And out of that burning bush, a voice spoke to him. Says, Moses, Moses, take off the shoes from off your feet, for where you stand is holy ground. I'm about to redirect you. And that's exactly how he recalled that vision to go back and become a deliverer 40 years on. So we've seen the story of Peter. You just heard about Moses. Now you say, well, these people were saintly. These people must have been righteous. I want to tell you the story of a very fortunate lady at that time. Now this woman was a woman who was caught in adultery. Someone say adultery. Basically, she was doing the wrong thing. Now it takes two to tango, right? It's a two people sport. Now, but these Pharisees brought this single woman and put her in front of Jesus and said, look, the law says she's taken in adultery. She should be stoned. The law says it's death. What do you say? Now, Jesus looks at the scenario, ignores them, and begins to write on the ground. And then after a while, he lifts up his head and says, let he who here is without sin be the first to cast the stone. And all of a sudden, from the oldest to the least, they all dropped their stones and they left. And then he lifted up his eyes and spoke to the woman and says, woman, where are your accusers? He said, well, I can't find them. He says, okay, go and sin no more, because I'm about to redirect you.